Hello, and welcome to episode number 392 of the Armin Show podcast in person, not live streaming, but this is a re recording of the live stream that I tried yesterday. And I will be doing live streams in upcoming time. Glad to have you on the show. Subscribe if you haven't. YouTube, Spotify, support the program. Short clips here and there across the various platforms. Vertical clips, if you will. And long live all of you listeners, supporters, participators, as the show continues to grow into something wonderful. What did I cover on that live stream, which I had put up, but there was echo on it and some other audio issue? So I am taking that down. Should be down by the time you see this. And this will replace that. On that episode, I talked about a variety of updates because it'd be great to include updates in a way. And also I spoke about the personal development podcasts and space, and also the relationship and dating podcast and space. Also some life messages. I brought a few life messages on the last one. I'm not saying I will have the exact same life messages on this one, but something of that nature. The good thing about live streaming, doing a test run in life, you always want to do test runs of things. It gets you into it. It gets you into the mode, and that is important. Once you're in the mode, then you see if there's an issue, you figure it out, you fix it. Next thing you know, you are there. But if you didn't get into the mode, you never get to there. So the mode is step one. Now, I will get into the live messages later. First, the personal development space, all the various podcasts that have some similarities to mine, I wanted to comment on them because they exist, and I like to be the individual that is the network, the accumulation, the put together of the space. One example I started with last time, Tom Bilyeu. He is the most similar to myself of the various podcast hosts, personality-wise, and some of the life elements-wise. He's a bit hard-hitting, direct, and I'm also direct. He's logical thinker, individual. His show Impact Theory, he had Quest Nutrition Bars. That was his company that he worked from. A lot of profit made there. He has his companion, Lisa. They work together at times on Impact Theory. They speak to other wonderful guests. We've had some of the same guests. And our nature is shared. Because even though there's other people in the same space, I'm not that similar to some. It's very obvious. If you put me next to them, you would see, okay, there's clear differences here. Now, another popular figure in the current time, Lex Friedman, does long-form discussions. He's a bit more serious and dramatic with how he presents things. Speaks a lot into artificial intelligence and technology space. He has studied that as well. And it's a good message about the long form, that it can work in that way, the way he does it, 3-hour-long episode. Some of the public live streams I will talk about later in the relationship space, they do 4 hours, 3 hours, occasionally even 5 hours with a group talking on a live stream. That's long form, if there's ever such a thing. Lex Friedman, very serious. He intros the guests beforehand quite well and then gets into it, and is well known now for talking to a lot of substantial figures. Elon Musk has been on his show a few times. Some of the people I have had on my show also have been on his show. That'll be a theme here. I've shared a lot of individuals with these podcast hosts. We've got, coming out of Texas, Danny Miranda has been rolling great, especially the past 6 months. The activity has really boomed. Austin, Texas is a hub for activity, and he is taking advantage of that by having gone there. And a lot of his supporters are in the crypto or athletic or sports or make money space. I notice it's always good to look at people's audience, and you can tell, okay, this is where it's going to. This is where the material, this is the general demographic that it's reaching. It can tell you quite a bit. That's Danny. We've got others as well. We've got well, Jay Shetty speaks with a few of the more popular celebrity type individuals on his show. Has a spiritual note to it, which is nifty. And I believe he's not that far from. A few individuals are in my area, Los Angeles. Jay is here. Also, Lewis Howes is in Los Angeles, and he has somewhat similar to Jay Shetty, a bit more well-known figures and a more warm conversation. And he has his program that he's had for many years now. A common theme with these individuals I'm pointing out here is everybody here has 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800 episodes. It's an actual program similar to this one, which is why I like being part of the whole structure. There are those. Then there are some of the finance-ish. Patrick Bet-David has his Valuetainment crew, and Adam Sosnick is part of that. Saucecast is his own show as a subset of that in the space. It is impactful. And then the networks are a big deal. So you have the main individual, most well-known, and then bring 4, 5, 6, 8 people underneath them with their own show. Jedediah Bila is part of that umbrella. She was on The View, now talks about relationships. There's something nice about when there's a network behind you. It's already set up, and then you go in some form. People working together, basically. And there's little pockets. I think of the different pockets. There's some people in Los Angeles, some going on in Texas. Lex Friedman also, I believe, is in Texas. Joe Rogan, the most well-known podcaster, is in Texas. Then there's Florida. There's the Miami show. There's some activity in Florida as well. Different parts of the country bring a different energy. And it's hard for me to picture certain individuals in another part doing their thing. It would not work as fruitfully because the area says something. It relates with something. Now, so that's in that space. Yeah, in the relationships, dating space in Santa Barbara, which is not far, 2 hours from me, there's the Whatever podcast. They bring on a lot of guests, many girls on the program, talk with them about dating and relationships. They are like a newer version of the Miami show with Fit and Fresh, who bring on various women. They also have their day show where they talk about finances, money, fitness, and dating. So without the Miami show, the one local to me 2 hours away, probably not going as quickly in that direction. So the influence of one on the other is substantial. These are all linked together. Everything I'm describing here is linked together. There's no separated elements. There's individuals, I believe, not far from me. I don't know if they're still here, but Mr. Lucario and Miles Cunningham, they talk about dating and what an individual can direct themselves toward. I met Mr. Lucario once. He saw me talking in public, and then he came up and started talking about his platform and gave me his card. This was many years ago, long before his show. That's one nice thing. When you're in the space and expressing and talking and trying, you're going to come across some of the individuals that make things. Once in an airport, on the same plane as me, was Whitney Cummings, and we talked for a little bit briefly, and then that was, I didn't know at the time, but her podcast was starting to really get rolling. So she has her own show too, more of a comedian. Joe Rogan has had on a lot of comedians. Also, each host has their category of individuals they tend to have talked with. Some it's entertainers, like Dax Shepard, who is host of Armchair Expert, and his companion Kristen Bell has been on that sometimes. He has brought on a lot of celebrities because he knew people in the space. He was on TV and programs, and so he brought on a lot of those figures. And there's something convenient about working with the group that you were already part of. Like I was connecting with the personal development people back in 2008, 9, 10, 11, and already mentally towards that space before then. So when it came time to talk to people, that was very easily the first group I leaned towards. And I still have personal development people on the show. Some of the various books that I have here, they relate with that topic. Growth, self-improvement. These were some really popular terms at the time. The terms being popular changes every few years. Now we have new terms. But there's definitely a self-improvement and personal development and growth terminology in 2008, 9, 10, 11. Lex Friedman, artificial intelligence people. Joe Rogan has some comedians, also some fighters, because he knows the fight group. That's who he's been part of and commentating on for many years. This is some of the space that I noticed. There's others I examine what they do. Sam Harris has his show on neuroscience. And then I look at other people that have talked to people I've talked to. So I see Eric Weinstein is not that far from me. He has had on some guests like Lee Cronin that I had on my show. He also had Lee Cronin on his show. There's something nice about you meet people along the way. They meet people. You may later come back and meet that individual. You learn something here. People tell you things. This is an important one. People will tell you things that 4 years later you say, aha, I was ahead on that in that space because of that person. They had insight into that category 4 years ahead, 6 years ahead. And now you are in a better position to grab onto the future because of what they said. If they didn't tell you that, now you are more surprised. It's more out of your hands, out of your reach, and not as appealing. When things are more in your reach or control, there can be some appeal. Your predictions match how things went in some way, which is a nice feeling. Now, some of my recent guests and upcoming guests, that's also what I spoke about on that live stream. I will be doing live streams. Why do I like the idea of live streams? They're in person. You can get feedback, and that can grow. I could theoretically have, there could be guests. There could be feedback. Could feed off the feedback, build into something great, and it only starts once you start it. Some recent episodes, just recently, as of just now, talk with Nida Farahani about the battle for your brain, about neurotechnology, and how there's much effort to find out what our thoughts are. This is a great episode that'll be already out. Once this one comes out, it will be the previous episode to this. Very informative. And our brain is the last frontier in some ways as far as information that can be acquired. And prior to such episode, there was Rebecca Faith Lawson and Bronwyn Williams. Wonderful episode. I like having multiple people. And we talked about a variety of topics. A couple of them I made clips, and then it branched out to other people who saw the clips, and then the conversation continues. One was about the connection between spiritual nature and economics. How do they link? How does someone deal with it, with their spiritual or religious feeling, and then their or being, and then the economics of the world? So I may have on a future guest or two in relation to specifically that topic, just based on some clips. Sometimes clips can be the shining light for other people to see, and then more discussion on that material. If you don't express, it can't be reached for and brought into your world. That was a great one. And Bronwyn was in South Africa, and we were in Florida. Great guest, Rebecca, right next to me on that one. And then prior to that, had Sukoon Chopra. That was wonderful. She brings there were some spiritual elements there and practical. She's more like a personal development type person I would have met in 2009. So that was cool for me because same space as me, same thought patterns. So easy flow, and had some good feedback on how not to get stuck, how to be your being, not letting personal or close dynamics to be a limiting factor. Some of those real baseline items that you as a person can use for your day. It's very direct. Personal development is often very here and go, versus if something is about how to do a specific type of gardening, it's not as directly linked to you. You can improve slightly on gardening at that time, but it's not going to affect your well-being as directly, unless you are highly attuned to gardening. Then it might. That was some previous ones. And then upcoming have some cool content. We'll be speaking with Helen Natal, which looking forward to that one, from, I believe, in the UK. And no book on that one. So that's a variety of topics. It won't be on a specific book. Following up to that, The Age of Scientific Wellness. This will be coming up with two authors, Leroy Hood and Nathan Price, both professors, one doctor, and they have a long history of research how scientific wellness will improve in upcoming times. That is looking cool, and I'm looking forward to the 3-person discussion there because they are experts in their field, and the book looks great. Books make a real impact on me if they are the organization, what it says, how many people it represents in the acknowledgments and the people that helped make it happen, the research behind it, the chapters, the titles, the separation. To me, it's very substantial. Books have always spoken to me pretty clearly. That should be good. And wellness is a huge category. Everybody's looking to become more well in this year and upcoming years. As technologies show up, there are better ways to understand ourselves. It has never been more clear time that there's opportunity for wellness. It was not like this 20 years ago, 40 years ago. It was not as prioritized. There were other priorities that were larger in people's existences. So that's an upcoming one. And then also I will have an individual that is connected with the writing platforms online. Writing is very important, and also has life understanding and advice. That will be Charlotte. She'll be on later on in a few weeks, I believe. So some delightful upcoming material, and then including could be more live streams. This one is not live, but would be in the live stream space, and updates along the way. That would be cool. So there's more of a dialogue, because that's important to me, to build connections, interlinkage, network, community, back and forth, open up some topics, and be of that space. Anything else I want to add in on this one? Reach for things. If you start the thing, something can build on top of that. I'll leave it there. This will be episode 392, which will go up after the episode with Nida. Hope you enjoyed it. Like, subscribe, share, whatever it may be. And onward we go.